Hello. Woo! Have y'all heard this song? I'm kind of obsessed with it. So good. Good morning. Good morning. Have you heard this? So why does this song matter to me this morning? Yesterday I woke up just feeling so heavy, and I love it. And you found it. So yesterday I woke up and I was feeling just so heavy. It was so heavy. And I realized that some of it was because I had a big day the day before. I had a big workshop where we had almost 400 people registered and holding space for a lot of people. And then also teaching that same day is tiring. Hi, Bella. And so, I'm going to turn this down. This song is so good. Sunday Best by Surfaces is, if you're in a bad mood, listen to that song. It's like worship music to just having a beautiful day and just loving everything that God's put in front of us, even the things that don't feel so great. So anyway, I actually realized that what was going on with me is that I was totally drained because I had given so much the night before and the day before, and so I just, it's really important to recharge yourself and to make sure that you're protecting your energy and everything else. So I'll start there. And when John asked if I wanted to come on by myself today, I'm like, I kind of do. There were a couple of things that just came to me. I've been up for a while. I actually did a theta session for, so interesting. It's such a dear friend of mine and of John's as well, but actually somebody I went out with a few years ago, right before I met John. And we are just still great friends and just did a great session with him, and it was just beautiful. I'm curious for all of you. Are you friends with your exes? It is a fascinating gift to be able to do that. There are some exes that maybe you don't need to be friends with, right? But I'm happy that I can do that with most. I'm sorry about my dogs. I really feel excited to talk about this, and it was not what I intended to talk about, but it really is about feeling good like you should, just like the song talks about. And it doesn't mean that we bypass and we don't allow ourselves to feel sad or grief or whatever else may not feel like it's an empowering emotion, because they all matter. This is water, by the way. My husband bought me new wine glasses, and I love drinking bubble water out of it. I feel so decadent even at 9 o'clock in the morning. So there's something to be said about letting the emotions flow through us, whatever it is. And so yesterday when I was feeling in a funk, I did not allow it to seep into taking out on John or thinking that, I was a failure or whatever it was. I mean, I think by now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm going to talk about allowing yourself permission to feel it all. And when you allow yourself to feel it all, what happens is it brings in more room for there to be more joy and abundance and appreciation, patience, all these other beautiful, beautiful things. And so yesterday I gave myself permission just to kind of pump the brakes and just be in it, I stayed on my biomat. I had a couple of sessions from my couch, the beauty of working from home, right? And working for yourself. And it was decadent. But, we, and what I want to talk about is that, but also something a little bit deeper. And, I talk about the feminine, and I talk about the masculine, and I talk about the toxic feminine and the toxic masculine, right? So yesterday, and this was dropped off to us, and it's this neighborhood magazine that is, that they asked for people to be on the cover of. And so John and I are on the cover of this magazine in our neighborhood with our dogs. And, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's not that big of a deal in the sense that, yes, a neighborhood magazine, it gets distributed like 3,000 people. And so, It actually is a big deal. And it's a bigger deal than you get to talk about, your passion, what you do for a living. If you choose your love story into moving into the neighborhood, also your love story with your partner, if you have one, your love story if you want to have one. I mean, they interview you and it's so great. But the reason why it's even more significant, and Lindsay, who actually, she's the one who produces this particular neighborhood. So Lindsay, thank you for the opportunity, because it's actually even more, hi Linda, it's even more special than, I mean, it's nice to see that we're on this magazine, right? I mean, and I've been in publications before. It's deeper than that, and I'm going to tell you why. So I've mentioned before about, everybody has a message. Everybody has a message. Everybody has something, a gift that they can give the world. And the way that we express our message is going to depend person to person to person. Some people, they may write a book. Some people may become a minister. Some people may become, a mom, and that is their full-time deal. And that's beautiful too. And they're gifting the world, these beautiful children. There's some women who actually are doing both, right? But everyone has a story inside of them. And I personally believe that we are here to live our purpose, whatever that means. And when I say purpose, what I mean is your own personal story. And to not live in your story as a victim, but actually find the gift in whatever's going on. And it doesn't always have to be perfect. It doesn't have to always feel good, because I can tell you that me ended up on this magazine again, because I've actually been on it another time. And I want to show you this. Cameron and I, many, many moons ago, when I first moved into this neighborhood, 9 years ago, they asked me to be on here as well. And the reason why this matters, and I'm sure some of you that are gonna hear this probably might even be some of the women people who talk about me. When you're making waves and you're making a difference, people are going to talk about you. And understand that anytime, this including men as well, we gossip, we backstab, we compare ourselves, we alienate, we shut down. It generally is our toxic feminine. And trust me when I say this, there are I have given people plenty of reason to talk about me in my 49 years here on this planet. I have lived loud. I have made lots of mistakes. I have been married before, divorced, and married again. And I have made choices out of my own childhood wounds that does not excuse some of the things that I did, but some of them weren't even my fault, which is how, my healing journey has become, essentially my Sacred She program, where I'm serving tons and tons of women. I mean, like thousands of women around the world now, understanding that their past does not have to equate their future. But we also don't want to ignore our past, because our past gave us our chutzpah. It is who we are. It's our moxie, right? But there's a way that we can go about that. And I can tell you right now, if you believe in energy, if you believe in the devil, if you believe that there are forces out there that are for good and forces out there that are not, there are going to be some people that do not want to see you soar. And there are some things that don't want to see you soar, especially when you have a message that is actually going to serve the world. So if you have something that's actually going to light other people up and help heal them and bring them closer to the divine, bring them closer to God, whatever your higher power is, for me it's God, is that, trust me when I say that darker force is not going to want you to shine. It just isn't. So when I was going through my divorce 10 years ago, I actually, one of the things I always wanted to do was I wanted to live closer to my son's school. And so that was Snell Isle at the time. And my partner at the time would say, if it'd be like a teaser. He would tease it in front of me, and, it never happened. I think, my poor realtor at the time, I'd seen every single house, on our street for over the like a 3 or 4 year period, and it was always something that he would hang over my head. And if you do this, then we can have that. And that was obviously a toxic relationship, deep love, but very toxic. And many of you know the story. I left eventually. But one of the things that and I think that was one of the things he said is that you'll never live there unless you're with me, right? And so you tried to find me yesterday at Publix. Was I at Publix yesterday? I don't think I was at Publix yesterday. But thank you, Marcy, for thinking about me. Anyway, one of the things that he said was, God bless him, was if I ever was going to live in this neighborhood, I would have to be with him. Like, in other words, it wouldn't happen. And he said it out of anger. He was trying to control me. It was something really crappy, he said. Which, by the way, is this toxic feminine. Because men have this as well. I understand all this now. I didn't know it then. And so anyone that's lashing out with like a temper tantrum or what have you, even a man, that's their toxic feminine. It's the expressiveness of it. It does not mean you can't have a temper tantrum, but if you do it with an open heart, it's completely different. And that's a whole nother topic. Women that are in my programs and working with me understand that you totally have permission to have a temper tantrum, as long as it's, for the better good and you're releasing emotion, not if you're doing it to control or manipulate someone or to belittle them. Again, toxic feminine. Anyway, so he had told me that I would never be able to live here unless I stayed married to him. So behind the scenes, I actually, there was the house that I'm in now. I was living out at the beach. No, I love that you're thinking about me. Thank you, Marcy. When I was living out at the beach, I was looking through one of the magazines and saw this house. And I remember, and I love real estate. I buy and sell houses, been doing it for years. I used to own a mortgage company and own mortgage companies and what have you. And so real estate is in my blood for sure. But I saw this house in this magazine and I was like, oh, I love this. But I think they're asking a little too much. And I was also in the midst of our divorce, and that took a couple years. And so anyway, long story short, behind the scenes, I actually bought this house and didn't tell anybody. Like, just my few close friends knew. And and I will never forget whenever he found out that I was here. He's like, how in the hell did you do that? And I just, and actually we laughed about it because we actually were able to still, laugh about whatever we had gone through, which is crazy, but it was beautiful. And I'm like, well, he loved the strength in me. And so whenever Cameron and I, because this is Cameron in this picture, we were on this cover, I just remember the feeling of like I made it, right? It was so silly because I've lived in beautiful places and I've been, I've had success since pretty much 26 years old, financial success and buying nice things and cars, whatever. But it was like, I arrived. And some of it was, yeah, I told you I could do that. And then really that's where my healing journey continued, right? It was really great and it was done. I don't care about, pomp and circumstance and putting my name on a building or any of that, but that's what this magazine represents. So here we are 10 years later and several failed relationships and what have you that led me to the place I am now and to what my Sacred She program is. And so, hi, Kelly. So thrilled that I can actually make my mess a message and my test a testimony, and that there are women around the world that are understanding that you can be a hot mess and you can make mistakes and that God is totally going to forgive you. And there are women that need to know that it's okay and understand that you can't actually, some of the patterns that keep showing up are not even your fault. Just like the gentleman I worked with this morning, some of the things that programming that keeps coming up is not even your fault. It's something that counseling may not be able to touch. But it can help with some of the trauma. But then what you want to do is you want to extract those beliefs that come up from you, right? So you can throw them and cast them to God's light. So you don't have to live like that anymore. So anyway, so here we are. And, I used to live in another house around the corner and I sold that and I'm actually here. In fact, now those people that live in my old house are dear friends of mine. I love you, Deb. We love you, Mike. So that was another reason why I guess that I had a hiccup, because I needed to buy that house so they can move into it so I could have two very dear friends, John and I have, that live there now. And it's so beautiful to go there and sit on the porch and watch the sunset on the water. And I'm like, yeah, I built this. And Deb and I always laugh and go, yeah, thanks for building this house. But it was weird the first time that I went there, because I did build that house because I wanted to have more children and what have you. But that obviously wasn't in God's plan to do that there. So fast forward, John and I on the cover of this magazine now. It's not about the magazine. And I remember thinking, because I definitely, after I had my intervention with Tony Robbins years ago, and he let me know that I was a woman, obviously, who had a habit of emasculating men, of castrating men, and choosing men also that would essentially abuse me and make me sing for my supper and not love me unconditionally because of childhood programming. And after 4 hours with the big guy like that, and I don't mean the big guy, God, I mean like if you're in front of Tony, and thank you, Rachel, for encouraging me to go, because I was so hard-headed. I had to be in front of someone who actually, it was like Sandy masculine, Tony masculine, and he let me have it. And whatever you think about Tony Robbins, some people don't love him. I owe so much of my life to him, because I needed that strong masculine figure that I respected to be like, And it changed my life. I mean, he broke up the relationship I was in at the time. And I started on this huge healing journey, traveling around the world many times with teachers so I could be in the space. So, but yet, in that space, I have left a wake of people that don't understand me. I have lost pretty much my entire friend group here, for the most part. I've been here since 2003 in St. Pete. 96, I moved to Tampa. But anyway, so not that anybody's bad people. It's just, when you start going down your journey, people just fall away, and that's okay. Not that it felt good. It hurt. So when I started working with Tony and traveling and, going down a different paths to some of the people in my life, they didn't know what to do with me. And there was a lot of judgment there. Judgment from them, me feeling displaced, whatever, and it happened. So 3.5 years ago, I had visions of when my son went to college that I would move, that I would leave this area. I'm like, why do I want to be here? I felt like a pariah, in my mind. I thought, because how egotistical is that to think everybody's talking about you? I mean, right? You think the world's talking about you. You're living with your, proverbially and metaphorically, with the covers over your head, thinking people are talking about you when they probably don't give two shits about you. Pardon my French, But I also know that there are some mean girls that live in this area, just like there are mean girls that live all over the world that really do not like me and have bullied me and sent me messages and talked about me and tried to ruin my reputation. And girls, I am still standing. But I will say that I allowed that darkness I mentioned earlier to come over me. And some of that was because I was in yet another toxic relationship, which I'm obviously not in now, because John is so noble and amazing in character. But I'm grateful for those failed relationships and my growth mentality. Because of that, that's why I'm in this space. So anyway, I was going to leave. I was actually literally I felt like driven out of town. Because I'm like, why would I stay here? There's nothing here. My father passed away. My mom's in South Carolina. Cameron's in college. He can visit me anywhere. Back then, you could travel anywhere. And I had dreams of living in Boulder or living in Santa Monica was my other choice. And just excited about life. And then, as y'all know, I did my masculine cleanse, and then when I started dating again, I was practicing dating, and John happened to be, one of the people I was practicing with, and I was like, I don't want him to be the one. He lives in Tampa. I don't want to stay here. I'm leaving. Again, it's water. And so God had a different plan. And what I realize now, as I'm co-leading a Bible study with a friend of mine, and working here with lots of people that actually, hi Jacqueline, that actually do live here and do adore me and do respect me, and some of the women that even talked about me and created this big coup. I mean, who knew that 40-something-year-old women could be mean girls? But oh my gosh, I think that women that are older are or even sometimes meaner than kids that are in middle school. So my point in this is that as I'm looking at this picture of John and I on here now, comparing to this one from 10 years ago, it is like, look how much I've changed in 10 years. Not just physically. I mean, there's menopause and all the things, but I mean, I am so much more in my body. I mean, and in the sense that I know who I am. I've always known that God has me, but I almost allowed other people to dim my light. And after the calls I had last night, and then having all those women, 400 women who are getting my teaching around the world, 100 and something were on the call live, and then there's 400 people that got the replay, and I'm hearing from them. Here I'm like, wow, I almost gave these women and these people my power. And again, bless their heart. I mean, they're only doing what they know to do, because the toxic feminine goes into survival mode. And anytime someone is gossiping and doing things like that, it's their brain trying to keep them safe. I know that may be like a skull, like what? But it really is. So just bless their little heart, okay? Bless their little heart, and send them love. I mean, honestly, send them love and light. And I think listen, we know the Bible says, pray for your enemies. Pray for them. And so I'm not being condescending. I'm in like a really, really good mood in this space, and it's so great. Older women with hardened hearts, and yeah, well, Paul, true, yes. And so we cast the light, and that's why I love working with women. My whole sisterhood program spawned from a lot of these women. So thank you. Thank you, ladies, for being who you were back then. I pray that you've changed. I definitely made some mistakes. And I did attract some men who weren't kind and lied to me, and I had no idea what was going on in their homes and what have you. And but the judgment there. So I got a beautiful message in the middle of the night I woke up to from someone that I used to work with about a decade ago. And she was sharing with me that she's been following me since we worked together with Stella and Dot. And she lives in Europe, and she's been following me, and she's like, I can relate to so much that you say about, people judge you for being too much, and, hot mess, and how did you heal from toxic relationships? And, again, God's helped me make my mess a message. I give all the glory to Creator. And I also have free will. I have to get up every day and look myself in the mirror. And I also, not everybody's going to get on live and tell their story, of course. I just know that this is a gift that God gave me. And so I'm here to tell all of you that, you don't have to be on a magazine, a little neighborhood publication, which is, may seem like it's not that big of a deal. But what it was for me was, hey, dude, you know what? I can live in that neighborhood, and I don't have to have you with me. You don't have to dangle it like a carrot. I'm successful in my own right. And then all those ladies who used to talk about me or whatever, I'm not going anywhere. It has nothing to do with the magazine, but I'm not going anywhere. And I will never forget when John Hall, my husband, when we're dating, and I told him the story, and he's like, babe, no one puts baby in a corner. You are mine, and you have something to say. And I'm like, so, feeling good, like I should, just like the song says. Who's trying to put you in the corner? Who's trying to put baby in the corner? How can you pray for them? How can you pray for them? How can you love them? Doesn't mean you need to go back to them and try to reconcile anything or prove a point, but just pray for them and love them, and also use that for the better good. What is God trying to teach you in that space? So all that spawned from, by the way, men, if you're listening to this still, this is the feminine mind. I have literally talked about 17 topics, but it all comes back to the same thing. So this is the feminine mind. And if you can handle that meta report, we like to call it, God bless you. This is the vibrancy of the feminine. And we can have thriving businesses allowing our feminine to shine, but it's the masculine structure that's going to get the things done. But what we do in the midst of that is that. So anyway, so what is the thing? What's the thing that is your that will get you to get out of your comfort zone? That will actually have you get out of the corner, peer out from underneath the covers, and go, you know what? I've got something to say. And maybe that something to say is that you're brushing your teeth in the mirror, and you just you tell yourself that yeah, I've got something to say. And so I got something to say, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't have everything that you desire. Everything you desire may not be God's desire. That's a whole nother story. But I'm saying don't let other people steal your joy. If they don't understand you, the toxic feminine will try to take it away. They will try to dumb it down. They'll try to, rally the troops. They'll try to turn people against you. Your own toxic feminine will do that too. That bitch in our head, ladies, is actually our own toxic feminine. And so like my sisterhood program and my sacred she programs, we help heal the feminine within us. We help heal sister wounds. If you have wounds with your own feminine, maybe wounds with your mother, we do that. And I bring all this up as I'm closing out my sisterhood for winter. And, I have a few more spots. If anybody feels called to go down this deep journey with me, I've actually added even more value to that, where we're working together for a, extended amount of time. And there's so much transformation that's happening with women where before I went on the workshop the other day, I have to say I got a message from one of my students, and she's like, Sandy, I'm so sorry I'm not going to be at the workshop, but I'm going out on a date with my ex-husband. And I'm like, yes! And not everybody wants to reconcile or needs to reconcile with their exes. I'm not saying that. I'm not asking you to go back to abuse, never. But what happens with women is as they start working with me, they start realizing they've been walking in victim mentality, or their hearts have been closed. And their hearts are closed probably because their partner has not seen, heard, or understood them. And so they haven't had a way to express themselves in a very healthy, sacred way. Enter Sandy Simpler. This is what I do. So anyway, I would love to bring on a couple of more women that we can serve. You don't have to live in St. Petersburg. I do work with a lot of women who do live here. But right now in my current sisterhood, we have 5 different countries represented. So anywhere. And if you're interested in going that deep journey, let's please talk. So please send me a DM right away. Some of you that are watching right now, I can see you. You have my cell phone number, so feel free to message me. Normally, I'd have you go through a funnel with a link and an appointment, what have you. Just DM me or private message me. Let's get you on. I am so excited about this next space, because what I do is I take you down this healing journey where you are going to learn about why you do what you do. You're going to visit with your inner child. You're going to become friends with her again. You're going to do some work around your relationship with your own feminine and then also your own masculine. That may show up doing work with your mom or your dad, whether they're here or not. Limiting beliefs. Also, maybe if you're stuck in that no man's land of all my kids are gone, I'm empty nesting. I also work with a lot of younger women too. And so the common thread is that women want to work, they want to actually grow. And there's something happening in the collective consciousness right now that there's a need to belong. But I want to make sure you're belonging in a space where you're going to be pushed and grow and such. Good to see you, Linda. So if you feel called, I'd love to talk to you. And for all of you that were on the call the other night, it was magnificent and I enjoyed it. If I could teach all day, I would. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. And I would love to talk to you about the sisterhood. And if you know somebody that might be interested, great. And you don't have to have had failed relationships or toxic relationships. A lot of women that are attracted to me are women that are driving in their masculine. They're very successful in their own right, or they might be a single mom and they're living in their masculine because they are paying the bills, taking care of the kiddos, all the things. There are a lot of women who drive in their masculine who aren't, they're still married. I have several women that are even married 30-something years and their relationship was pretty stagnant. And, you know, they turned the car around. The message I mentioned where she said, I can't be there because I'm going on a date with my ex-husband. I was like, music to my ears, girl. And, the fact that she's even willing to call her own fouls and take a look at herself and put it through, is the world better? Not just that they get back together, because that's not what I'm talking about here. And true, what I call Sandy Summer fashion, is the world better if I actually grow and in God's light grow to this person here. And then I start viewing my son, my partner, my ex-partner, as if, through the eyes of God, through the eyes of the divine, what's going to show up there? That's what she's doing. I'm so proud of her. And quite frankly, we have over 100 relationships that since COVID that John and I have helped turn around directly and indirectly. So we're very proud of that. Really proud of that. So take that, mean girls. I'm just kidding. Sort of. It is beautiful. So anyway, if anything I'm saying here speaks to you, or maybe you're someone who has experienced a lot of anxiety. I have several women who, have gotten off of meds or realized that, again, I'm not a doctor, but what they've realized is a lot of their anxiety is because they're trying to control something. And when we try to control something and not accept what's going on around us, it brings on anxiety. So medication is great. And then also not being on medication is great if it serves you. You can be on medication and learn how to embody more of your emotions. And that's great too. It's beautiful. The point is that you don't want to judge any emotions that are going on. You want to be able to feel it all. So that's a little bit about what I do. So much more, but there you go. Thank you for letting me just play here. I have no idea how long I've even been talking, but I appreciate all the activity here, and I'm sending y'all lots of love. Just if you need any motivation or just want me to witness you, please, please, please. Would love to talk to you. Y'all have a great day. See you later. Mwah.